Clausing, and this is a tutorial on Blender animations and rigid body. So first, if you're new to Blender, go to User Preferences, and it'll default to Select with Right. Put it to Select with Left. And if you don't have a mouse, get one. It just makes your life easier. And for the time being, you can emulate 3-button mouse by selecting this. Save user settings and close the window. Now press B, drag your mouse, and X to delete everything. So let's start with the first link in the chain. Shift A to open this add menu, torus, and I will rotate. About 90 degrees. That looks good. Now go to edit mode by pressing tab and wireframe mode by pressing Z. Deselect and select all by pressing A. So deselect and press B. Select the top half and pull upwards. That looks good. Okay. Now leave wireframe mode and edit mode. Press Shift D and I'll lift it up. It's easier if you press Z, you can lift it up directly from the Z axis. Lift it up to about here. And now rotate as well on the Z axis, 90 degrees. Okay, that looks good. Let's maybe move it up a bit more. Okay. Now select both. Shift T again. And whoops. Shift T again and raise it up. And you can repeat the previous action you've made by pressing Shift R. Let's add one more. That looks good. Now let's select all, move it up. Okay, it's looking good. Now, let's click this tab, not rigid body constraint, rigid body, and change the shape to mesh. Select everything, go to the physics tab, and click copy from active. And if you see now, by pressing Alt A, it all falls down. Okay, so let's start by adding a plane. Press S and drag to scale. We'll add a rigid body to it and change the type from active to passive. Passive's for things like the ground or the wall, where things will collide with it, but it's not really supposed to move. And if we press Alt A again, it falls down like a chain would. Okay. So now let's make the ball. Press this bottom one, Control Shift S, curse it to selected, and go into edit mode. This is so that you can't really affect anything besides the thing you've selected. And let's add a UV sphere. Move it down a bit, and let's scale it. I think that's good enough. Yeah. Okay. Now let's leave edit mode. And let's see what happens when we start the animation. It all falls. Rolls a bit too. So what we want to do is to click the top chain and unselect dynamic. This will keep it stationary, but things will still be able to interact with it like normal. So now if we press Alt A, you see it stays there. Everything still falls. Now let's lift it up a bit more. See if it hits. Yeah, we want it raised a bit more. That's good. Now Shift S, cursor to selected. Go to the pivot point, select 3D cursor, press R while having everything selected, and rotate it up. And let's see how that looks. Perfect. Let's increase the mass on this to 15. And see what happens. Perfect. Okay. Now select everything. Press Control Alt Shift C and change the origin to geometry. This is important for the rigid bodies. This origin is where they will use their center of gravity. See what happens now. Perfect. Okay, let's start with our destructible stuff. Okay, and Shift A, add a cube. There should be good. Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to want to add an array modifier. So click this wrench, add modifier. You can play around with all the other ones, but we're going to be using array. Now increase the count. Let's increase it to 7. Increase the offset a bit. and let's move them. Okay. Now we're going to also want some for the other directions. So add another modifier, change this to 0, change this to 1.03, and let's add. That looks good. And now let's add another one. Change this to 0 and this to 1.03. That looks good. Yeah. Okay. So now what you want to do, because right now it's all these boxes are just actually one shape. You want to apply all the arrays you've created in the order you've created them. So apply, apply, apply. And as you can see now, they're all separate shapes. Now let's enter edit mode while everything's selected. Press P and separate by loose parts. Okay. Let's give them all a rigid body. And let's lower their mass. And now, Control Alt Shift C, origin to geometry. Let's see what happens when we start the animation. Not what we wanted. Keep this as passive. And now let's see. Cool. In a later tutorial, we'll go over how to make it look nice and how to bake the animation. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.